A big thing that was absent from the Star Wars sequel trilogy so far was of course the use of combining all three of the main characters together into one single scene, working together as a team. This is Mike Zero. If you guys are new to the channel, do make sure to subscribe to see future Star Wars content. Now, I really wanted to focus on the characters of Rey, Poe, and Finn. Now, we do know that J.J. Abrams and Chris Terrio are bringing in a ton of new experiences for the fans around the world when it all comes down to Episode 9. Now, like I say, one thing that was missing from the sequel trilogy for the longest time was, of course, Poe, Finn, and Rey working together as a team, in a group, if you will, going up against the First Order themselves. Now, these past couple of weeks or so, we've been learning a whole lot more about this film when it comes to some of the set leaks, the set designs, the concept art and storyboard descriptions, etc. Now, one of which has all to do with a set design that involves Daisy Ridley, Oscar Isaac, and John Boyega. Specifically, Daisy Ridley is set to film a sequence over in Cardington that will also involve Oscar Isaac and John Boyega. All three characters will be working together as a team. The set design is described as the interior of a large base that may belong to the First Order. Daisy Ridley will be using her lightsaber prop against many extras dressed as stormtroopers. She will be fighting troopers that are decked in both black and red armor. Both Oscar Isaac and John Boyega will be using blasters against other extras dressed as First Order officers. Lots of pyrotechnics will be used to emulate explosions and flames. Daisy will also be engaging in a scene in which she will be ducking for cover behind a set of consoles with troopers firing at her. She will later have a scene in which she uses the Force to push around 6 troopers into mid-air. The extras will be hooked up to tons of wirework to make the effect work. Another sequence involves Rey fighting troopers with these new weapons that can combat against a lightsaber, and will be as if she is going up against the Praetorians again, however with many obstacles in the way this time. Lastly, a scene will be shot involving extras shooting at Oscar, Daisy, and John, with of course John and Oscar behind Daisy as her character Rey deflects all the blaster fire and wipes the troopers out at face. So what's really interesting about all of this, and I really do want to go over this, is that the set design is described as a large base. We've been hearing about this base for the longest time now. Now, it is to my belief that this is most definitely the First Order headquarters, right? We've heard about this new base that belongs to the First Order on some rocky, snowy world that is coming into play here for Episode 9, and it's also described as an underworld base, an underground base, I should say. So, with that being said, alright, there's a lot going on here. Number one, it seems as if Rey is protecting both Finn and Poe, while they are also trying to defend themselves against a pair of First Order officers, and also Rey taking out stormtroopers that are actually decked in black and red armor. Interesting. Now, does this mean that the return of Shadow Troopers are coming in Episode 9, a type of stormtrooper that are actually a part of the EU/Legends material? Now, sure, they tried to create their own version of them in Rogue One, which are actually called the Death Troopers. However, these could actually be the exact Shadow Troopers coming back in Episode 9. Now, I also want to go over this sequence that involves the extras that are going to be hooked up to wirework, in which Daisy Ridley will actually force push all of those extras, around 6 of them, into mid-air, flying against the wall. Now, this to me sounds like something that they were going to do in Star Wars The Last Jedi, but they did not end up doing this at all. Now, in Episode 9, obviously, Rey is going to grow as a character. She is going to evolve, and that, you know, of course, power comes along with it. She's going to be a more powerful character. Now, this is said to be 1 year after the events of The Last Jedi, so a lot can happen in between. Me personally, I feel like it should have been 2, maybe 3 years at minimum, but we're getting 1 year after the events of The Last Jedi here. Now, the other thing that I do want to go over is how Rey is actually protecting both Poe and Finn as they are running and charging towards a ton of stormtroopers, where Rey is actually deflecting a lot of the blaster fire back at them and wiping them out face to face. Now, I gotta say, this sounds pretty amazing. It sounds like Rey is really going full Luke Skywalker mode here when he was on top of Jabba's sail barge, taking out all those different creatures and enemies of his one by one. So it seems like, you know, J.J. Abrams is trying to create a parallel of that moment in which Luke Skywalker went all out on Tatooine and took out pretty much everybody on Jabba's sail barge and saved the day. Now, the last thing that I do want to go over, alright, is of course the sequence that involves both Daisy Ridley, John Boyega, and Oscar Isaac, where there's going to be a lot of pyrotechnics involved, a lot of fire. So this also tells us that this is a dangerous situation for the three characters. It could be an escape scene, it could also be an invasion scene. We're not quite sure exactly what's happening here. All we do know is that Rey seems like she's actually defending her friends, and she's trying to get through from point A to point B. Anyways, guys, drop a comment below. Let me know what you think about all of this in the comments. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.